Hello everyone, this is ACH AI Akaya bringing you another 1v1 from StarCraft 2, and we are going to see a pretty cool matchup today. We've got HuK up here playing as the red Protoss, who has absolutely been dominating the ladders in BattleNet, and then he is going to be facing off against QXC, our blue Terran down here at the bottom. In a PvT matchup here, we're on Desert Oasis, and of course this was actually played just before the patch that was released yesterday, which had a ton of Terran nerfs. It basically, I mean, you guys have probably seen the list, but the two most notable ones are early Reaper harassment is basically not nearly as effective or possible, because you have to build a supply depot before you can get your barracks, and then you also have to build a factory in order for you to get the Reaper speed upgrades. So it really negates a lot of that early Reaper pressure because it makes them so much more cumbersome to get out early. So anyways, you can see a little friendly banter between these two players. Obviously both of them, I'm sure, have a huge amount of respect for each other, knowing exactly what the other is capable of. And this was actually played at the end of a series between the two. I'm not sure if this was a friendly show match or from a tournament or something. It didn't say on the replay set, so I wasn't 100% sure what this was from. But as we can see, right now, QXC playing very standard, putting down his first supply depot and barracks inside his base, and then getting that first refinery up here pretty quickly. I would imagine as soon as his barracks finishes, we're going to go and see him get that orbital command up and running quickly as well. And HuK, likewise, also playing very standard. His first gateway is about halfway done, and then also getting up his first assimilator here right now. And apparently QXC pinging something on the map, not sure exactly why he was pinging that, but sending out his own scout to go and check out what's going on in the Protoss map. And it looks like HuK is hiding a pylon at the bottom of his base, and I'm not sure if this is for a scout of some sort, possibly to scout if Reaper harassment does come up this direction, or if he's planning to hide some kind of a tech there. I don't know, I guess we'll see in just a little bit. But HuK sending his SCV out, checking, QXC, gosh, I'm getting these guys mixed up an awful lot today, but QXC sending his SCV out, checking to make sure there's no early expo, and the cyber core going down immediately after that gateway finishes. So getting that really early tech, which is pretty common for Protoss players, especially in a TvP matchup these days, getting that gateway cyber core straight away is just really common. So nothing too crazy here. We're not going to see any crazy all-in rushes or anything of that sort or nature. Meanwhile, though, it looks like QXC is going to get all the intel he needs out of HuK's base, and HuK is not going to continue scouting QXC. It looks like he did lose his SCV to the, or his probe rather, to the Marines. So these Marines are going to be able to protect from any additional probe scouting that's going to come up. As you can see, they're surrounding the ramp there. And meanwhile, HuK doing a good job of keeping another probe out on the map, and just checking out these Xel'Naga watchtowers, seeing if there's any proxy buildings going up, any kind of hidden tech that would be in the range of those buildings. Of course, he is playing standard and building everything inside his base right now. That factory just about finished, and he does have his second refinery up and running right now. If we take a look at the income tab here, we can see that there is actually a pretty significant difference in the harvesters. 5 more harvesters for HuK than QXC, but of course, because of the mules, QXC is really not that far behind. He's actually pretty daggone even with HuK for the most part as far as the income goes. But looking back at HuK's base, he actually has his robotics facility up and running almost. It's just about done, right around 75–80% right now, so he's going also teching very quickly. Both players apparently very passive this game, just going to go ahead and play a tech more longer game, although I'm surprised neither of them have taken the expansion, since they've both seen that the other is just pretty much sitting back and teching at this point. And it looks like we're actually going to see that first observer come out from HuK, and a lot of Protoss players favor that early observer when they're playing against the Terran, especially on a map like this where the amount of distance to travel between the two bases by ground is so long. It's really difficult to continue to scout that base through the mid to late game in order to get the intel you need. So getting that observer out so that you can get as much intel as possible, especially when these Marines are sitting right at the ramp, which, as you can see, he doesn't have them at the ramp right now, so he might be able to sneak a unit up to get a little bit of intel, but not a whole lot going right now. And it looks like we are going to see another barracks go down, so possibly going for Banshee. Yeah, we're going to see Banshee Marine here, so that is actually a very strong build for Terran players in using that factory to scout, because QXC decides he does not need the factory since he is going Banshee Marine, and he is going to send it out to scout, which we saw a lot of players start to do this in the GSL tournament. So that is becoming apparently a very just common tactic to use that gate, or that factory rather, to scout if you know you're not going to be using it for a while. Now, there's positives and negatives to this. The positive, of course, is that you get a lot of scouting as the Terran player, and you're not actually losing anything. I mean, you may have to repair your factory a little bit, and of course, you got to be a little bit careful to make sure that you're not losing that factory when you're trying to scout. But the negative thing about it is that it actually kind of gives away your tech, because if he sees you're floating your factory around in his base to get some scouting intelligence, obviously he knows you're not going to be building factory units, at least not anytime immediately soon. So, you know, that's a little bit of a tell for exactly what he's going for, since he wasn't able to get any scouting done until just now with that observer. And that observer coming back now, apparently deciding that it has all the intelligence it needs. Although I'm sure he is going to need that very soon in order to defend against this Banshee once Cloak is finished researching. And as we can see on the production menu, he has actually not started researching Cloak. So apparently not going to get Cloak, just kind of faking the Banshee push possibly. I don't actually even see him. He is building one more Banshee. Let's see, on the units tab, we see that he only has one Banshee on the map, so not really pushing for a lot of Banshees at this point. He just has the one, and the second one building right now, which should be done here any second now, and going to get the Raven out too, and the Raven is going to be absolutely crucial for stopping all of these Stalkers. As you can see, he's been forced to go with a lot of Stalkers in order to negate this Banshee threat successfully, but with that point defense drone from the Raven, it's going to be really difficult for those Stalkers to do anything, because that's just going to absorb so many hits. And it looks like that second Banshee is out now. He's building a third one, although the first one was killed, so there's still only one Banshee out on the map at this point in time, and it looks like both players just now getting their expansions up and running, and the observer from HuK is going to spot QXC, sending his expansion down. And the SCV actually going up from QXC to try to scout HuK's expansion, but HuK's army is in position in order to stop it, so I don't think that he actually got any intel. Yeah, he did not see that the space was here, although I've got to assume that since HuK's units were in good position to defend that from being scouted, that he's got to think that there is a base there indeed. And as we can see, QXC has been doing a great job of keeping up on his macro. Of course, a high-level player, his energy almost always below 50, because he is constantly using it for mules and scans, it looks like. Although, from what I've seen on his income, he's actually using more mules than scans, and I haven't noticed a lot of scans in HuK's base at all. So apparently using that for the economic game a little bit more so than the scouting and intel strategy part of the game, which, you know, if he's confident with the intelligence that he has, and of course he was able to keep the Protoss player in his base for a while with that Banshee harassment, then there's no reason to use those scans if he doesn't have any intelligence that he needs to pick up. So very, very high level play so far from both players. I feel like I'm saying that word a lot right now for some reason. But anyways, it looks like we're going to see a lot more barracks coming up. 2 barracks with Tech Lab add-ons, and 1 more going down on that reactor. It looks like he actually moved one of the barracks over to build a new Tech Lab add-on. So, and actually we may see somewhat of a base trade of sorts, because there is a large army moving up here from HuK, just destroying that destructible rocks on the back entrance and getting up here, and these Colossus with their long range can actually reach all the way across this gap in this on this ledge here in order to hit these supply depots and miners. And it looks like he's actually going to lose 2 supply depots here if he doesn't get over here and repair them. It looks like he is going to save one of them, but the other ones are going, or the other one is going to die, and forcing HuK to back off with his forces. Only a handful of Stalkers, and he's got two Zealots and 2 Colossi supporting that army. And with that many Banshees, he's really going to be able to do plenty of damage, especially with this full health Raven, which is going to be able to drop 2 point defense drones in order to defend against those Stalkers. Although these Banshees get a little bit too far out ahead, and they are, oh my goodness, they actually managed to take down one of the Banshees before that point defense drone gets into place. And it looks like he is just going to use these point defense drones to just pick on the Protoss army and doing great damage to these Colossus. I don't know why these Colossus are even in the mix right now. The Banshee's managing to take down one Colossus and then getting the Raven, and it looks like both of those point defense drones are indeed going to go down. So losing a Raven and a Banshee in exchange for taking down one Colossus and a couple Stalkers, that trade probably just about even with the amount of resources that were invested in the units lost. But that did buy enough time for HuK to get his expansion up and running and 2 Stargates built now, so he's going to have Phoenix to take care of those Banshees if he continues to build them. And it looks like the refineries for QXC just not going down his main. He's actually putting up another command center. Now, I'm not sure if he's going to use this to expand again, or if he's going to morph it, or transform it rather, into a planetary fortress in order to help him defend against any kind of a counter push that he may see at that base. And we may be seeing some multi-pronged